everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from Warhammer 40,000. The World Eaters are here, of course, with the brand new Khorne Berzerkers. Yes, here they are. One of the most fantastic kits that needed updating. Absolutely crucial. And here they are. They're absolutely dynamic and wonderful and full of lots of lovely, gorgeous detail. And we're going to be painting it all up today. And a massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending these through to me early to build up and paint for all of you. And so, without further ado, we're going to jump in and we're going to start painting them. They've been primed in Wraithbone. And the colour we're going to be using first is Baal Red. So Blood Angels fans, I'm sorry. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking this Baal Red and we're going to be applying this over the top of all of the armour. And this because we're going for a proper classic Khorne World Eaters colour. And don't worry, it's not going to stay as bright and as vibrantly red as this. We are going to bring that colour down just a little bit, but over the top of the Wraithbone we get this gorgeous bright red. You can see on the box art, it is a very vibrant red that they've gone for with these guys. So Khorne Red itself, whilst seems to be the most appropriate, it actually isn't for the World Eaters in many ways. So we're just going to take this Baal Red and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the red armour across all of our Berserkers. So with that Baal Red all applied, he's now, well, very red, but we're going to make him even more red. It's going to be a darker red. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 2-to-1 mix of Contrast Medium and Flesh Tearers Red. And we're now going to apply this over the top of all of the red. This is going to give us a really lovely shading, whilst just really punching up the Baal Red and making it look absolutely fantastic. So with that Flesh Tearers Red applied, as you can see, you get this absolutely stunning, lovely red colour, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. Just demonstrating on all 5 of our subjects for today. There you go. Whew, what a lovely colour. Right, what we're going to do now is move on to our next colour, which is going to be Black Legion. Now we're going to be using this over a number of different details. So we're going to be using this over the top of weapon casings. We're going to be using this over tabards and baturges and belts and straps. And we're going to be using this over the top of any soft details in the armor, so any ribbed cabling as well. There's a lot of black. It's beautifully simple, colour scheme these guys. So with all of that Black Legion applied, as you can see there is rather a lot of it, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this over our remaining leather details. Now this is going to include areas like little pouches and gloves. So with the Cygor Brown applied, what we're then going to do is take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to apply this over the top of the soft wraps around the weapons. So with that Agrax Earthshade applied to those areas, what we're now going to do is we're going to do what is probably the longest part of these models. And we're going to take some thinned down Runelord Brass. And we're now going to apply this over all of the trim around the models. And this is going to be on all of the armor, on all the weapons, all of it. And it is going to take a little while. Just take your time here. So with that Runelord Brass applied to all of the trim and decorative details, as you can see, the models have taken quite a large leap forward. They're no longer kind of, well, they're still at the ugly stage, but less of the ugly stage now. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue finishing off all these base coats. And the colour we're going to be using next is Darkoath Flesh. And we're going to be applying this over the top of any visible skin. Now, some of them have got visible arms. You might have built yours with bare heads. I'm just using Darkoath Flesh here because I've only got arms. You can obviously go for variations here. You can go for Fireslayer Flesh, Guilliman Flesh, Wildwood, Garagax Sewer, Cygor Brown. The choice is yours, but I'm just going to do that just for now. I'm going to do this on all of the arms just for the sake of speed. So with that Darkoath Flesh all applied, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the skulls. So with that done, we've just got one last base coat to apply, and that is going to be some thinned down Iron Warriors. I'm going to be applying this over the top of all of our remaining details. So with all that Iron Warriors applied, our Berserkers are now fully base coated. We do have a plasma pistol to do, but we'll do that right at the end because that's not typical war gear. But all of our base coats are now on, so what we're going to do is we're going to add some shades, and we only have 2 to add, except one of them we're going to do twice. But the first one we're going to do is Berserker Bloodshade, and we're going to be using this all over the top of all of the flesh. So this is just over my Darkoath Flesh stuff. Again, this is kind of optional. You wouldn't have to do this if you'd done something else, or if you, in fact, you don't want to do it, but I really like Berserker Bloodshade over skin. Just adds that kind of a really nice effect. Like that. So with that Berserker Bloodshade applied to all of the flesh, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Nuln Oil, and we're going to use this to shade a lot of different things. So we're going to be using this over the top of all of the kind of larger black details. We don't need to do this over kind of the soft details in the armor. We're going to be using this over the top of all of the silver, and we're going to be using this over the top of all of the Runelord Brass as well. So with that done, our Khorne Berzerkers are very, very close to being a Warhipster battle ready. They're looking pretty cool. However, we've got one last shading to do. And as mentioned, we're doing one twice. And this is Nuln Oil. This is the second pass through. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the Nuln Oil and we're going to apply this over the top of the Runelord Brass. And this, because Runelord Brass is just that little bit bright. It is the perfect kind of colour for what we want for the trim. We just want to shade it that one more time, just to make sure we get some really very clear saturation and contrast within the metal. So a lot of this trim is quite flat. So with that second coat of Nuln Oil all applied, our Khorne Berzerkers are now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and they already look pretty fantastic. However, we're not going to leave them there, no. We're going to take them to the next level. I'm going to do this by adding some highlights. Now, we only really need to focus on one of our Khorne Berzerkers here because there's nothing too unique about them. So we're just going to focus here just for the moment. We might do some highlights on the flesh, but ultimately it doesn't really matter because of that shading with the Berserker Bloodshade. However, what we are going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Canoptek Alloy, and we're going to use this to highlight all of the Runelord Brass. Now this is going to be the bit that takes the longest, as it did with the adding of the Runelord Brass in the first place. It's a good point to start with this, because you'll see just how much it makes the models come alive. So for now, you just want to take your time, picking out all the edges on all of the Runelord Brass with the Canoptek Alloy. So with that Canoptek Alloy all applied, as you can see, the miniatures really do take a massive leap forward with that brass all highlighted. And so what we're going to do is move on to our next colour, because the brass is done. The next colour is going to be some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all the silver. So we're just going to be picking out all areas such as the teeth of the weapons, the edges on any silver details, chains, things like that. All of it. So with that done, quite a large part of the proceedings are now done. So these are starting to look absolutely fantastic. However, what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to our next bit. This is kind of part of the metallics, but not really. What we are going to do is we're going to do all of the eye sockets. Now, the colour we're going to be using first for this is Dark Angel's Green. We're just going to take a small amount of this on our brush. We're just going to paint this over the lens. Just like that. And so with that Dark Angel's Green applied, we then take a tiny amount of Gauss Blaster Green. We're just going to draw a tiny little line going across the middle. Just like that. So with the eyes all done, similarly to this, we've got another sort of metallic detail, and that is the kind of inside mouths of the World Eaters logo. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take a very small amount of Terradon Turquoise, and we're essentially going to apply this in here. Now you don't need loads. To do this, you just want to apply this pretty roughly. Like that. See how a small amount goes quite a long way? I'll do it again. So just take diddy amount. That's way too much. You just want to kind of push it into the recesses. And it doesn't matter if you overlap just a little bit. If you get too much on your brush, just give your brush a quick wash. And then with a clean brush, just go in there and start moving it around. Like that. So with that Terradon Turquoise applied, we're now going to move on to our next set of highlights, and that is going to be some thinned down Wild Rider Red. And we're going to be using this to highlight all of the red. So with that Wild Rider Red all applied, what we're then going to do is take some thinned down Cadian Fleshtone and use this to pick out the sharpest points on the red. So with that done, we've just got one last highlight to apply, and that is going to be some thinned down Dawnstone. And we're going to use this to highlight all of our black details. So with that Dawnstone applied, all of our Khorne Berzerkers are now finished, apart from this lad who hasn't had his plasma pistol done. So in order to finish it off, we're going to take some Frostheart. I'm going to apply this over the top of the coils. And so with their bases complete in the same style as the rest of my World Eaters, and if you'd like to see how I did that, you can check out Angron's video. These Khorne Berzerkers are now finished, and if there was any kit in 40k that desperately needed an update, it's these guys. There's a really nice glow up. They're so menacing, so sharp and lethal, and there's lots of dynamism in the poses. So much better than the original ones that looked like they were skipping merrily through a glen of skulls and blood, but still skipping merrily through a glen nonetheless, whereas these guys are menacing. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, just like these amazing, wonderful people have done. And if you really like this video or you just want to shoot me some support, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.